everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Topic.
Thunder.
Here from the Top 10. This is a show where we answer questions from our $5 and above patrons. Any questions, thoughts, or comments they want us to talk about, right, Matt?
That they do. They just send it in over there. We don't know what they are beforehand. We read them as they come in and we react to them. So looking forward to it each and every time because we don't have any clue what the show is going to be about. Do you start this time or do I?
No, I think you start, brother man.
All right. First one comes to us from Tim Williams.
Yeah.
Says, "G'day, blokes. Hope you've eaten something delicious today." All right. I said, this one is really for Matt, but John, chime in where you can.
Sounds good.
Matt, what are the origins of your fantastic game show, Settle the Score? And also, can you give us some insights on how the sausage is made? I've always wondered who comes up with the clues. They're brilliant, in my opinion. I have fun always trying to guess them. If you want to keep the cards close to the chest, that's fine. Can't wait to see John on the show. Maybe a hot mic match. Anyways, you should be very proud, Matt. You have created a fantastic show. Well, we've talked about it on that show before, and we do have John coming up in the relatively near future.
I've been on the show a few times.
Yes.
Timothy, so catch up. I've been on the show a few times, so yeah.
What, like 3-4 times?
Yeah, so got my ass handed to me by Dorina, and then with the Geek Buddies, I think twice. Okay. I don't know if there was one before that, but I think that's the only ones.
Well, you got another with Dorina coming up. You asked for it.
I did. I want a rematch.
And I mean, I will not relate to you what Dorina said in the email. It was all disparaging. All disparaging.
I'm sure.
I mean, reading it.
Yeah.
You'd think the most offensive thing would be hearing it, but actually seeing someone take the time to type it out, that really, it hits home all the
Have
much
you
more.
never met a Latina before? They take the time to destroy you.
But she like Latina shamed you in a way.
I don't know how that's possible.
I don't even know what that means. But yeah, so we have that schedule. Look, a hot mic is not out of the realm of
me versus Snyder. That could be fun down the road for sure.
Sure. You know, anything's possible, but we've talked about it on Settle the Score. So, you know, if you want to hear about the origin or how we do all that stuff, Tim, head over there. But basically, it's, you know, try and think of clues that point to the movie, but not so overtly.
Yeah.
And just a little sneak, like sometimes you see how great a clue it is afterwards. That's kind of the ideal. And then, but yeah. But I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. And hopefully you enjoy John's episode coming up in about roughly a month.
Yeah, about a month for sure. Okay.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Fredtastic 314. It says, "Hey, John and Matt, happy to send this question because I'm curious to hear your responses. When the LAFC got Gareth Bale to sign, I mentioned to my son that Austin FC, by the way, these are football teams, for those of you who don't know, American MLS football teams. I mentioned to my son that Austin FC, our team, should send Matthew McConaughey to represent Austin and go after any available European talent to bolster our team since it's huge in Texas and in the Austin community. But my son said McConaughey wasn't a big enough celebrity to persuade any elite players. This evolved into who was the more iconic actor, Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise? Don't ask how, but it did. Two-parter, which actor would you ask to represent your favorite team, football or basketball, or pursue the best free agent? And who's the more iconic actor, Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise? Thanks for reading this and have a great day. Fred C. Matt, what do you got? Who would you ask to represent? Who'd you say, your Bulls or your Bears? Where is it on
Bulls.
your ranking? It's Bulls? All right.
Yeah.
So who do you ask to represent your Bulls to pursue the best free agent? See Durant out there.
Well, you want
send
in that instance.
Yeah,
we've seen, or in the world of NBA basketball.
Yeah,
the individuals that have managed to go out and you know do recruiting trips for teams, so to speak, have been individuals from rap, hip hop music.
Yes.
So you got your Drakes with Toronto, Jay-Z with the Nets.
Yeah.
So I would try and convince Chicago's very own Kanye to go out and proselytize for the Bulls. The thing is, he's not associated with the Bulls, but you would want somebody from Chicago. So maybe Chance the Rapper, but Chance isn't anywhere near the level of celebrity and fame.
Yeah, but he's level-headed as opposed to Kanye.
Yes. But I think they'd all prefer to hang out with Kanye over Chance. Think about it. Who's going to have the better story?
Certainly Kanye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's who I want to hang out with. It's nothing against Chance. It's just like, yeah, but the potential for something crazy to happen with Kanye, and I don't mean like he's mentally unhinged or something. It's just like, hey, do you want to take my private helicopter and I'm in a luxury yacht demolition derby. You want to jump on my yacht and we ram into other yachts and be like, well, if anybody does that, it's Kanye.
Yeah, no, totally. You're right about that.
So that's who I would, if I had my druthers. I don't see that happening.
Right.
But in this perfect world of, now if it was the Bears, that's an interesting one because I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's, because the cross section of fans in the NFL is diverse, but the teams are still primarily, black players. What do you think the percentage is? 70% of the league?
It's probably more than that.
You think so? It's to 80%?
I can take a look real quick. But what if you had to lure Russell Wilson to Chicago when he was a free agent this past off season?
It's a great question. I don't know if there's somebody like that for them.
Oh.
Because I don't think Kanye, it doesn't, it's not as seamless a transition.
Right. Fair enough.
Whereas I think Jay-Z would, like say he's a Jets fan or something.
Oh.
I think it could work there.
Fair enough. It's according to Sportskeeda in 2020, which is still 2 years ago, African-American players or black players are 70% of the NFL.
I was right on the money.
You were, man. That's kind of shocking. I thought it would be a little bit higher. I thought it'd be near 80. But
kickers, offensive linemen, tight ends, and quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Tend to have quite a few white guys in their ranks.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah. Anyway, I can't seem to find concrete numbers for 2022 or 2021. So
well, we don't even have final rosters yet. So
yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, I don't know. That'd be tough. I mean, because obviously for me, it's, I guess now at this stage in my life, Liverpool is number one because it used to be my Redskins when I was growing up. And I don't mean to say it in a derogatory way, but the Skins, I guess I should say.
That's what they were called.
That's what they were called. Yeah. In the 80s, 90s, 2000s, certainly that was my number one team. But Liverpool's really supplanted them in my life over the last 15 years, maybe. Even though I've been a fan of Liverpool since the 90s. I couldn't really see all the games. And I think we so underperformed all the time that I didn't really feel that they had kind of gotten there. And I think when Jurgen Klopp came over a few years ago, I think I've really kind of solidified my fandom for them. I mean, we just got a Liverpool welcome mat that we ordered from England. And I'm about to get some Liverpool license plate covers for my car. So it's like, that's my fucking team, man. So to lure a free agent, I mean, Jurgen is such a good, I mean, it's kind of a cheat to use him. And he's becoming very, very well known in soccer circles, football circles rather. But I don't know who I would choose. That's such a great question to lure like Haaland, who just came over to Man City. Maybe Daniel Craig, because Daniel Craig is such a massive Liverpool fan. He's spoken about it.
Oh, yeah?
He would be a nice choice. Yeah, him, Seamus. There are a few other people that are famous. The guy who played the antagonist in the Irishman, Stephen Graham. Stephen Graham, the guy's in Snatch. He's from Liverpool, so he's a massive Liverpool fan. But yeah, certainly Daniel Craig would be the choice. Who apparently, like, he interviewed Klopp and was like so tongue-tied. So the fandom runs deep, clearly, with him if he was tongue-tied talking to the manager of Liverpool and you're fucking James Bond. So to have him kind of lure, I think would be really interesting because he's fucking James Bond, you know. So that's my choice. I didn't have a choice. I didn't have an answer in my head. That came to me as we're talking about it. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, hence the nature of the show.
yes, right. Good
I've
point.
never thought about what celebrity could go out and
Chicago.
proselytize on behalf of my favorite team.
You don't think Dick? You know what I think? If Walter Payton was still around, Payton would be a great choice.
Yeah, but he's not. So
No, he's not. Dick is not your choice.
Nah, because I don't think the young players like would give a shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's no Chicago Bull. I mean, maybe Jordan. Would Jordan be someone you'd be willing to go and even
Jordan wouldn't do it.
Owner, he wouldn't do it.
We also have to come up with like at least I think you could talk Kanye into it, like on some level. Jordan, there's never a chance in a million years. He's got his Charlotte team.
Yeah, no way. That's tampering, right?
But not even if you want to say for the Bears, why wouldn't he just do it for a team?
Oh yeah, right.
More in his locality.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
You know, do it for the Panthers.
Hey, Harrison Ford's from Chicago. Bill Murray. Why don't you send Bill Murray? Do you think Bill Murray would be able to?
If we had a professional golf team, Bill Murray would be my number one choice. I would actually pay him to be the mascot of the team. Like if we could just use his likeness.
What about Oprah? Oprah's from Chicago.
Yeah, but this isn't 20 years ago.
Oh, wow. You're saying Oprah's, her reach isn't as strong as it used to be.
Not even close.
Wow.
Think about it. There was a time where Oprah could swing. She could have swung an election.
Oh, yeah. No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
And that's not the case anymore.
And she might have, if you look at the Barack Obama situation.
Quite possibly.
Swung it. Yeah.
And I didn't even say, but just like anybody that came on the show, instantly they're number one on the New York Times bestseller list. Yeah. Whatever product she says is her favorite of the year.
Yep.
Sales, quintupled.
Whether they wrote it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. She just had the Midas touch. I think those days are long since gone.
I don't disagree with you. I think Kelly Clarkson has kind of taken that kind of mantle now. Not that she's got the reach that Oprah does, but certainly that daytime thing. Yeah, I'm looking at all your people. Yeah, I feel like Kanye is, you might be right on this because everyone, Soulja Boy's not going to get you the right person, I don't think.
He's Chicago? I thought he was St. Louis.
I know, he's listed here under Chicago.
Huh.
Harrison Ford is Chicago. Do you think Harrison Ford?
No one associates him with Chicago. I've never heard him say anything about Chicago. Think how long he's been in our lives. This is news to me that he's from Chicago. I know that he was. Oh, shit.
Yes, go ahead.
Who was it?
He was born in Chicago, Illinois, man.
Yeah, but for how long did he live there? No one associates him with Chicago.
He was born in the Swedish Covenant Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. Yeah.
Damn it, I can't remember who it was. I think it was a musician, and they went to see an early Harrison Ford film, either Star Wars or something, before he was Harrison Ford.
Okay.
But something that launched him. And they were watching him like, oh my God, that's my weed dealer. Like, I know that about Harrison Ford, which is a half of a story. I didn't know he was from Chicago.
Yeah. I think he tells that story too now because, no one's going to come after him for selling weed back in
It's like the Cameron Diaz Snoop Dogg story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Exactly.
The statute of limitations is long since, expired.
Yeah, man.
But because otherwise you're getting into it's either somebody from Second City or one of the Cusacks, like an actor is that going to draw on some 23-year-old NFL free agent? Fuck no.
No. Look, he didn't, he was still in Chicago into his 20s, man. Although he did attend Ripon College in Wisconsin,
Still news to me.
He went to Maine East High School in Park Ridge, Illinois. And he was the first student voice broadcast on his high school's new radio station, WMTH. So there you go. Just letting you know.
Yeah. Good for you, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever comes back. Like, does he ever? I've never heard him talk about Chicago in any way, shape, or form. He's
been doing interviews for 45 years. I've never heard that mentioned ever.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But him flying planes, I've heard 50 anecdotes.
Oh, of course. Sure.
And, anything else.
Chicago's own Harrison Ford. Don't say that. Don't say I'm not Chicago's own.
Oh, yeah,
I'm an LA
I
boy.
don't have the association. But yeah, I think the Bears is a tough one. I guess you could try Kanye there, but I think that's more seamless for NBA
Yeah, it's scary.
just because we've seen it work there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay. All right. So the second part of the question, Fred, is more iconic actor, Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise? This is a tough question, especially with. I mean, I think it might have gone. Well, no, I think it still would be tough because Tom Cruise, like, there's a legacy with Tom Cruise. With Tom Hanks, he's still doing his thing in multiple arenas. You know, producing, directing, acting. He's a pundit every once in a while in documentaries, coming out and talking about stuff. But Cruise now with this film, with Top Gun Maverick, like breaking all kinds of ceilings, breaking through all kinds of ceilings as a domestic film. Like, it is up to number 5 or 6 ever.
Yeah, it took over an Infinity War.
Yeah, it went past Infinity War. So that's it's closing in on Black Panther. That's kind of crazy to think that this film would do that all these years later, this sequel. So yeah. So it's tough. Matt, where do you lean? Hanks or Cruise? More iconic actor. Iconic.
I think I would more so lean towards Hanks.
Okay.
Because I think he's aptly been described as our generation's Jimmy Stewart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct.
And the high water marks, like he played numerous different types of characters.
Yes.
And been very successful at them.
Yes.
So to bring this wealth and diversity of project and characters to life, I think resonates with me a little bit more. Whereas Cruise is, if the character doesn't run in the film, I don't think the film is going to stick with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's not an action film, then I don't know that there's much in Cruise's canon that impacts me the way that Hanks does, in the various ways that Hanks does.
Yeah.
Cruise has some amazing action films. But
Sure.
It's like you're really successful at one genre,
Yeah.
varying degrees within that genre. It runs the scope from Top Gun Maverick to Collateral.
Right.
You know,
right.
They're not the same action film. They're different degrees of action film.
Yeah.
Some are more thriller and psychological in Collateral. Like, you still have the killing and all that, but the imposed or the threat is scarier than the actual violence.
Yeah.
Whereas Hanks has played, from Big to Philadelphia to, like, his version of Geppetto looks interesting coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued by it.
Mhm.
It might be the first live action Disney I see. I don't know.
Ooh.
I did see that. You asked me on Tuesday's show if I saw the Andor trailer. I did not, but I saw the Pinocchio one because it popped up on Twitter and it was kind of hard to. It was just right there as soon as I opened the app. So I was like, I'll watch it. But it looks interesting. I still think Del Toro's is slightly more intriguing to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I'm a Hanks guy and you're a Cruise guy.
I am. And I'll say this because I was looking up the definition because I recently presented the Icon Award to Giancarlo Esposito. So I know a thing or two about icons, but no, just looking at this thing. The definition I use at the beginning to describe what an icon is a person or thing that is revered or idolized and is representative of the best in its business. And so for me, you're talking about revered or idolized. And I feel like Tom Cruise fits that definition more than Tom Hanks. I don't know many people that idolize Tom Hanks. I do know many people that would revere Tom Hanks and certainly appreciate Tom Hanks. But when you're talking about icon, I feel like idol has to be a part of that icon situation when we're talking about two actors, right? It's not like Einstein's an icon, right? But like with Hanks and Cruise, it has to be, are you what is iconic? And so for me, I think Cruise has done more to make himself iconic and to sustain being a superstar in films for 4 or 5 decades. And that is unheard of. None of his 1980s contemporaries are doing that. And no, you can't say Harrison Ford because he's a 1970s guy with Star Wars and stuff. So to me, this is what not even Stallone's having to go to Prime Video for his most latest film. None of the 1980s Schwarzenegger not doing anymore. Jean-Claude, Steven Seagal, Gibson has gone by the wayside. Keanu didn't come in until the 1990s. So really, Tom is the one that's still putting butts in seats. And even with this film, as I said, breaking through the ceilings on the domestic side of things and surprising the world with a film like this. Plus, he bounced back from being essentially ostracized from Hollywood. Somehow he has convinced millions upon millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, to kind of ignore that he's a Scientologist, which we've seen numerous documentaries on that show you how chilling and unsettling that organization is. And yet people just don't think about it. Like Elizabeth Moss, they don't really think about it with her. They focus more on what she's doing as an actress and what Tom's doing as an actor in their films. And he's very singularly that. You don't hear about a Tom Cruise production. You don't hear about Tom Cruise directing. You only hear about Tom Cruise acting and the parts he's picking and the roles he's taking on.
Yeah, I think, though, ultimately that's where in 20 years,
yeah,
because he only does action, well, how much longer can he do this? Whereas Tom Hanks is Paul Newman. He can put out his verdict. He can put out it doesn't matter how old he gets. He can still churn out products and still stay in the public eye, regardless of his ability to pull off an action character.
Yeah, well, it's ironic, right? Because he is in Elvis, which was also a film that, like, a lot of people enjoyed, did way better than people anticipated. And yeah, he's taken some guff for his portrayal, but he is still a really good antagonist in that movie. Whether what your issues with his makeup or his accent or whatever, he is an unsettling asshole in that film. So he's effective at doing that. And that's a rarity for Tom Hanks to be a villain in a movie. And he does a great job with it. In my opinion, he does a great job with it. So you could argue, you're absolutely right, Matt. You could argue that, but we don't know if Tom has that gear. We've seen it Born on the 4th of July. We've seen it in Magnolia. He has that gear. And even in Top Gun Maverick, he showed a real vulnerability, a real emotional journey and arc for that character. And you felt every beat of his emotional story throughout the movie.
True. It's just whenever he decides to do a project that is Oscar bait, we never buy into it fully. He never gets the accolades. Yeah. Look, I think we can keep going. We got to take
we bought Magnolia.
We got to take a break.
Oh,
real quick.
All right, let's take a break.
Well, it's just we're at 23 now, so
all right, let's take a break now.
Yeah,
we'll be back with this discussion right after this. So, Matt, you were saying, that you think Tom Cruise is a shit actor, is what you're trying to say?
No.
I mean,
I'm not saying he's a shit actor. I'm saying when he gets himself into these projects that you would think the buzz is, hey, this could be up for Oscar. It's a dicey proposition as to whether or not we all agree with that assessment. Whereas Hanks, I'll buy in. If the early buzz is Hanks could be in for Oscar consideration, you're already saying, yeah, because he's won before. We've seen him get to that level numerous times. And whereas with Cruise, well, it could be a Lions for Lambs situation.
But Hanks
that had Oscar buzz before it was released.
Yeah. My counter is that Hanks has never carried a franchise. Hanks has never
Toy Story.
Oh, come on. But
he's not a franchise. He's not an actor that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're saying you're going to say Tom Cruise is limited because he can't do this, then you have to apply the same logic to Tom Hanks. He's limited because he can't do this. And I
don't know that he's ever tried to do that. When has he ever signed on for a project going, this could turn into? Whereas like Cruise's of his 3 next ventures, one is one he hopes turns into a franchise full on.
Yeah.
Before they've put pen to paper, the idea in and of itself between him and his producing partner is we want to turn this into a franchise. Right. Tom Hanks, I don't believe, looks at the cinematic world that way.
I agree. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
If it's going to be a franchise, he'll turn it into a TV show and he won't cast himself and just EP it From the Earth to the Moon or Band of Brothers.
Right.
So I think that's just a different philosophies when they come to how they choose projects.
You're saying Tom Cruise is limited because when he tries to do these kinds of things, it's
I'm waiting for it. Where's the twist? Oh, okay.
Results. Yeah. But with
Oscar
Tom,
caliber, yes. But when he sets out to do big action franchise, well, he can usually pick one like, Edge of Tomorrow. They're coming out with another one.
Yeah,
If
they
that
are.
one does relatively well, you got another franchise on your hands.
Yeah.
So he's good. There could be some iconic status of that of, well, if he creates his own, as opposed to taking a pre-existing property in Mission Impossible, but now with Top Gun, I don't know if we can go back to Top Gun a third time.
I don't think he can come back to Top Gun a third time, but I think Top Gun can move on.
Yeah,
without
the
it.
way the character's set up, just like
Yes.
this really feels like this is the last run for Pete.
Yeah, exactly. He has closed the circle.
Yeah.
Maybe he's there for a scene or two as kind of guidance or counsel, but not the main situation. Yeah, you're right. Because Jack Reacher, he tried to turn that into a franchise. Certainly the Mummy was supposed to launch the Dark Universe.
I don't blame him for that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the way what you're saying, to give a little more credence to what you're saying, he does approach these things thinking about how he can turn them into franchises. It's not.
Yeah. He stays in the public eye by having big box office movies.
Yeah.
Whereas Hank stays in the public eye by putting out Oscar caliber, or at least in the discussion of whether or not the job he did is Oscar worthy.
But I might counter and say, I would counter and say, Cruise has the harder job because people, Hanks has never fallen out of favor. You may not like his movies, or he's not maybe consistently making them like he used to. But whenever people say Tom Hanks, there's a genuine feeling of warmth about it.
True.
Whereas Tom has taken more chances, I think, with trying to do things outside the box that people and he himself constructed for him. He's at least pushed past that. And I think Tom is built to take on these roles that demand a little bit more from you, for sure. But he's never fallen out of favor like Tom did, jumping on that couch.
We got to go Hanks and Cruise here.
Right, sorry. Like Cruise did, like jumping on the couch.
I can follow along, but it can get confusing pretty quick.
I apologize, kid. Yeah, with Cruise jumping on the couch, the stuff with Katie Holmes, the stuff with Nicole Kidman, the Scientology stuff, as I mentioned.
Those are problems he created for himself.
Well, fair, but he's bounced back from them, and where not many people can, and so he has been savvy and intelligent. I mean, that Les Grossman could have fallen on its face. But he made it work, and in making it work, he made people fall back in love with him, and that began the redemption process. So he's savvy, he's smart, he understands these franchises. This is where I need to be, and the fact that he made them work that script forever to get Top Gun Maverick right, then brought in McQuarrie, shows that he's an intelligent guy who understands stuff.
I don't necessarily fully agree with the argument that you're just made. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Okay.
Just I don't identify 100% with it, but I will add at least my 2 cents to your side of the argument. It is a difficult task coming out and putting out a property going, I want to turn this into a series, a franchise, which means this has to do a certain box office in order to fulfill the idea that myself, the production company, the studio, the producers, director, all on board have the same vision of turning this into $1 billion franchise. Right. That's fucking incredible pressure that Tom Hanks doesn't put himself in.
Yeah.
And I will give you that 100%. Like they choose different projects and have different trajectories for what they want that project to do by itself and for future and other projects and other ideas that they have.
Yeah.
Which is a difficult proposition. I mean, coming into it, the Herculean task of, hey, we need to turn this into $500 million. Otherwise, it's a failure for the vision that I have for it.
Right.
That's a mountain.
Yeah. Every time.
You're creating for yourself. And God bless him, man. He is trying.
No, I mean, I think because he has to. Like, he has to do this in order, because he doesn't have, like Tom Hanks, these other things he can fall back on. He is legitimately an actor out there on the fucking high wire, where this is, I mean, he could live off his money. You could have Tom Cruise salad dressing. He could do the Paul Newman route if you wanted to, for sure, to stay a part of the conversation.
Way to denigrate a man's charitable organization.
I'm not denigrating. I'm just saying,
your tone.
It's a way to stay in the public's consciousness, your name in the public's consciousness, Tom could do that. But Tom relies on being an actor. That is the number one thing. How he funds himself, how he stays alive, how he stays out here, how he works is being an actor. So you're right. What he looks at every time is this going to make a certain amount of money so I can make the next one and I can keep my status?
Sure.
And so
I
that's a Herculean task, as you said. Yeah.
But for the iconic status, it's
Yeah.
hard for me to so Hanks are the roles that he's taken.
Yeah.
Whereas Cruise, to me, I think you could recast in quite a few. Like Mission Impossible, to me, is a generic action film that does well at the box office.
Right.
But to me, it's not indelible. It doesn't leave any lasting impression. You could replace Tom Cruise with any of the other 10 actors and it gets the same result to me.
Wow.
Whereas Top Gun to me is Tom Cruise.
Right.
And we'll see how the next Edge of Tomorrow and everything after that. But Mission Impossible has been his bread and butter for the past 15 years.
Oh, totally.
And
Yeah.
to me, all those are just cookie cutter, pretty much.
Wow. You think the
They'll-
Mission Impossible movies are cookie cutter movies?
they're cookie cutter action films. They're good, but I don't walk out of that going, "Holy shit, that was the best action film I've seen this year." It doesn't. It's only the last one did I could walk out and go, "Hey, that fight in the bathroom, that was pretty sweet." That's the first time I can recall walking out being
That's pretty
impressed
sweet.
by the action
Yeah.
in it, because
Okay.
otherwise it's just like, of course he's suction cupped to the side of the Burj Khalifa. It's
Right.
like it's him. The preparation he puts into the stunts to me
Yeah.
are better than the movies themselves.
Wow.
At least in everything up until the last one.
That is a strong statement, bro.
Yeah, I find the behind the scenes of what he did to achieve those shots
Yeah.
infinitely better than the movies themselves.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So to me, they're not iconic, and that's been his bread and butter for a decade and a half.
Yeah. And then we'd have to disagree. That's a different
know.
subjective
I know.
Because I
And
think
I'm
you
in the
are.
minority there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The public votes against me by those things generating incredible box office.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, there you go. I think we had a fun conversation about this, Matt. We should wrap it up there.
I'd be curious, Fred Tastic, where did you guys end up between you and your son?
Yeah.
Who's the more iconic between the two of you?
Yeah.
Uh,
Tell us.
and
Fred.
then, yeah, tell us. And then if you don't like McConaughey, who's your substitute?
Right. Good question. Who is
That's
your
what I'd like to
substitute,
know. Who's your substitute? Because, boy, he is Austin to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what bigger person you're going to find that I associate with Austin in my brain.
Yeah.
But you know your town better than I do, so please let us know.
Well said.
The bastion of liberalism in the heart of blue country,
Halo.
or
Red country.
red country. I apologize.
Yeah.
Hence the hat. It's pretty obvious at this point. What color is what?
All right, well, let's get out of here. We're past the 30-minute mark. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you guys for sending in the questions. Timothy Williams, Fred Tastic, we appreciate it madly. Please keep sending them in, ladies. If you're a $5 and above patron, send in your questions, thoughts, and comments. Let us have some fun talking about some stuff. Send in your brackets. Send in your suggestions for what you want us to talk about. We're always open to it, so send them in. And the special email is in the Patreon. These are one of the benefits you get of the Patreon. So if you think about it, send them in. We'd appreciate it. Matt, what else do we have to say?
Follow the show at Top 10 Show. I'll spell it out on Twitter and on Instagram and YouTube. It's / the Top 10 Podcast with the number 10. And you can follow me anywhere at Matt Nost.
You can follow me at The Roca Says. All right, y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. We'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of Topic
Thunder.